Empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? Worst 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order, the Cohesion Edition. So we are in the new era of NIL and the NIL collectives, and we've had one foundation on. We're going to have another foundation on today. Super excited about this one. We've got a ton of SWOs coming this week. We got the draft, spring ball's wrapped up, summer conditioning. So we've got a lot of good stuff coming. But we're going to get into this because we are on a little bit of a time crunch with Mr. Marcinick. So, but again, we appreciate you guys. Our site is growing, our page is growing. So subscribe, like, leave comments. This is a big one. I'm really excited about this interview, so I'm going to get right into it. Mr. Marcinick. You got Gary Marcinick, one of the preeminent business people of Columbus, Ohio, joining us today. Mr. Marcinick, how are you today?
Kirk, all good. All good. How are you doing today?
Man, it's a wonderful Sunday. I took my kid to his Blue Jackets hockey lesson on Friday, which was awesome. You've been a great influence on how to make sure that your kids have fun with it. And at this age, when they're 4, you just want them to enjoy what they're doing and get them off the machines, get them off the iPads, get them off the Xbox, get them moving around a little bit. So I'm like, anytime he wants to go outside or to the rink or whatever, I'm all about that life because I think kids need physical activity more than ever now. So I appreciate your influence on that. But I know that we only have
You can't impose motivation on a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. So
no.
you just have to let things follow their natural order. So it's just a huge game of patience.
Hey, if he does good, he gets a Lego set. That's his thing every day. So yeah, because then
There
we
you
get to
go.
build a Lego together. So it's like $20 and
Okay.
build a little
The
Darth
carrot
Vader
and the stick.
Lego. I'm
The
telling
carrot
you,
always
man.
works. The carrot always works better than the stick.
No, it really does. So we're gonna dive right into it. So the Cohesion Foundation, obviously, you are leading the charge in the NIL new world, the brave new world that we're in. You have some of the absolute Mount Rushmore of Ohio State with Jack Nicklaus, Archie Griffin sitting on your board. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to get into the NIL world and why it was intriguing to some of these mega Ohio State legends to help you out with the Cohesion Foundation.
Yeah, and just technically, Archie and Jack are not on our board. Gary Nicklaus is on our board, as
Okay.
is Adam Griffin.
Okay.
Archie and Jack were very excited about these efforts, so they were very kind to give Cohesion Foundation a tremendous endorsement. So,
Okay. Okay.
but we're thrilled to have the next generation, and that generation is different, but I think equally impressive on a lot of levels. So it's good to have a couple of those legends behind us.
Absolutely. What made you decide to get into this? You're an incredibly busy guy. Obviously, you're very successful in the Columbus business scene. To add this extra giant hunk to your plate, what drove you to want to get involved in this?
It's a valid question. I was just intrigued by the whole NIL, the emergence of the NIL last year, and I knew it would have serious implications for all schools. I was just intrigued. I'm somewhat of an empty nester. My youngest son graduates in a couple of weeks, so I just thought this would be a great thing to put my time and effort and focus on to build excellence in this area to support Ohio State athletes. I think it's very necessary, and it's table stakes at this point to continue to compete at the same level Ohio State has enjoyed competing, not only in football but really all sports.
Yeah, and obviously it's driven predominantly by football and basketball because those are the revenue generators. What if you're the average fan to maybe the more wealthy fan, like what can people do? How can they give? Obviously this is like one of those things where it's a grassroots effort. There's really no amount that's too small. What do you have coming down the pike where people can really help out Ohio State and keep us competitive in the NIL space?
Yeah, just as the namesake of the foundation is cohesion, we want to bring a cohesive effort, an inclusive effort of large donors, corporations, smaller donors, people who have passion around Ohio State sports or around Ohio State football. So we want to have access points at all points for people to get behind this effort in a common team building way. So having been around the community, the business community for almost 4 decades, I'm very blessed to have a very good network of very successful people in business who have a very successful background in philanthropy, and they've been very generous to a multitude of charities and causes, including Ohio State, throughout the years. So I'm trying to tap into that 30, 35-year network of people that I know will be excited about bringing excellence to this area.
And you guys are a charitable foundation. Explain a little bit about how you guys are a full charitable foundation, maybe the difference between that and others, and how that can help people, especially from a corporate side with tax implications.
Yeah, that a nonprofit. We're in the process of applying for a tax exempt status, but if we gain tax exempt status, which we expect to gain tax exempt status, that allows donations to be tax deductible once we have approval. Until then, we have to disclaim that technically we are not tax exempt until we have that IRS ruling. But it's just going to allow larger donors love the tax deduction. Obviously, that allows them to leverage their donation. But the fact that our mission is to support local charities, and actually smaller local charities, I think it's a really good convergence when you speak of timing. I think it's just perfect timing to kind of marry the fact that a lot of local charities need a lot of support, and our ability to bring higher profile Ohio State athletes to help them fulfill their mission statement. The convergence of those two, we feel very good about doing this through a nonprofit and specifically supporting local charities. It's a very powerful combination. The reality is, a lot of smaller charities don't have the financial resources or budget to afford marketing, to afford paid appearances. We feel very good about the fact that we're going to be able to plug in some Ohio State athletes to their various causes.
So in layman terms, you could potentially pay an appearance fee for a star player to show up to maybe a gala or some sort of charitable, fundraiser for a smaller charity that maybe couldn't afford what some of these guys' appearance fees are. Is that basically what you're
Yeah,
getting at?
that's exactly it. It's really a combination of support. It's virtual support, it's personal appearance support, obviously social media support. So a combination of all of those things. If we're providing NIL agreements to athletes, the athletes in turn have to perform some serious duties in support of that local charity. I mean, to be a legitimate 501c3, there's a lot of governance around that and a lot of accountability around that. And I feel as if I've built a very credible team of people who will keep very close track to all those things.
Yeah, and I think that the benefits to advertising that, a potential Heisman front runner or an All-American is going to show up to a gala or, a fundraising drive. I think that it makes, obviously, the ticket sales will go through the roof. You could potentially charge more for tickets for tables, and it could be, a boon for some of these charities that, a lot of them, they have like one major event a year, and it really is their big fundraiser. In terms of what you guys are doing with the Cohesion Foundation, do you guys have any, and I know it's obviously very early, but do you guys have any plans to do like a big fundraising event or a big networking event that's like a gala or that type of thing that is pretty standard with a nonprofit?
We've spent the last 3 or 4 months mode kind of building the foundation of the foundation, so to speak, to be compliant in all areas. And just now, Kirk, to be honest with you, we're just now shifting into the fundraising mode, and we're vetting some different ideas. We'll have a subscription type opportunity for somebody who wants to do a $5, $10, $20, $50, $100 per month behind Cohesion. And there'll be some events, some exclusive events surrounding their membership, so to speak. And I think we'll do some really cool things for some larger donors as well. That's where we're putting thinking hats on right now in terms of some of those cool things we can do together.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got an outstanding year potentially for it with obviously the Notre Dame game will be a massive draw for out of state large donors. I mean, everybody who's anybody will want to be at the Notre Dame game because it might be the last time in our lifetime we see him in the horseshoe. We haven't seen him here since '95, and who knows when they'll be back again. And then you've got the Michigan game at home, so you got some marquee games. You have 8 home games, so specifically, would you plan an event around maybe like a Friday or a Thursday night before a major home game just to get the most bang for your buck? I know obviously this is very short notice. I'm not trying to play gotcha with you, but
No,
I
not
mean,
at
you're
all.
always trying to get the most whales that you can, and when Notre Dame comes to town, there are going to be some mega guys coming into town, and I was just curious if that ever crossed your mind, if that'd be something you guys would be interested in doing. And because we have some very influential people on BuckeyeScoop.com. I'm going to send this to a lot of the major donors that I know. Just anything they should kind of keep in the back of their head that you guys might be planning. I'd love to help drive people and help you out. But is that something you guys would consider?
It is. There's such a marquee home schedule. We definitely want to take advantage of the visibility that we can gain on a Friday or Saturday morning before one of those marquee games. So we certainly will message, and certainly message through you, Kirk, and your subscribers at the Buckeye Scoop. We'd love to give you the scoop when we have the scoop. So, but yes, we definitely want to leverage. We're a sponsor of Ohio State athletics that puts us in a very unique position to have exclusivity in this area. It allows us to co-brand and market our efforts alongside the university trademarks. That was something that we're just very flattered to be in a position to be able to lock up our logo, so to speak, with the Block O and the university. And it's going to afford a lot of game day visibility outside the stadium, inside the stadium, all the above. So people will see Cohesion Foundation as they started to see at the spring game, should see it more and more. And we're very excited to gain greater visibility. We think that sponsorship of Ohio State athletics through Learfield and through the leadership of Todd Nisley at Ohio State Sports Properties, we think that's an incredible way to leverage our exposure as well as give us some credibility with some people.
Yeah, I think that's outstanding. Just in terms of getting people motivated to help out and realize how big of a deal, just I'm gonna give you the podium for a second. How big of a deal is NIL? How important is it to people to hear this call to action to keep Ohio State where we are as an upper echelon? And we were kind of in this platinum era right now with Ryan Day, where we've had these unbelievable quarterbacks, unbelievable offenses. But how important is it for us to remain competitive in college football with the emergence of NIL? Because I personally think it is maybe the biggest change in the history of college football. The fact that kids can be paid and kids, can transfer, and there's all kinds of wild scenarios out there, like the Plitnikoff winner from Pittsburgh potentially being recruited to USC, and it's the Wild West right now. But how important is it for Ohio State to maintain their competitive edge, for them to heed the call of action to give to an NIL foundation?
Yeah, in a short answer, it's absolutely necessary. It
Mhm.
is now table stakes. It probably is the greatest change in college football in the last 100 years. It's
No.
completely changed the dynamic of recruiting, conversations with athletes through various sports all throughout the country. I think if you talk to different coaches in different sports, it's the first or second or certainly third thing that any potential recruit or recruit supporting group is going to ask about. So we have to build a culture of Ohio State excellence. We have to build an NIL culture at the same standards that we have with academics, with the our facilities, our professional development. It is now an absolute must for us to compete at the same level. We need to bring excellence in the NIL area without question. If not, without a proper NIL effort, without proper NIL support, our ability to attract athletes across all sports, all 36 sports, will be diminished in some form. So we really need to create a buzz. We really need to bring credibility. We really need to broaden our exposure that Columbus, Ohio is absolutely one of the best places to attend college and capture and monetize one's name, image, and likeness. In our case, doing this through Cohesion Foundation, again, with your potential donors and subscribers and support base, Kirk, we think we're going to be in a really good position to do this in a very, very exciting, credible, transparent way at all levels. But people really need to get behind it. As you know, we are completely separate from the university. So these efforts are completely separate from the university itself. So there's got to be a firewall there at all times. But everybody's learning about this very quickly, and I think everybody now fully understands this is a big thing, and this is something that we cannot fall behind on. Right now, you might construe that we are slightly behind, but I think we're catching up very quickly.
Yeah, and again, with the way things are changing and the way even state law, like Tennessee passed a law that the University of Tennessee can work hand in hand with collectives, which is something that Ohio hasn't done yet. It's probably something that might come down the pike. Right now, the firewall exists, but again, it is as agile of a thing as I've ever seen in terms of how fast things can change. And
Yes.
what a world we live in. I'm telling you, in 1 year, it's amazing how kids can, they get car deals now. They get, they get
Right.
all kind just stuff that is, it's mind blowing to me as a guy who, I'm a
There are
dinosaur.
Ohio State has been blessed with incredible sports and success across really almost all 36 sports. There are a lot of schools who are desperate to achieve the level that I think Ohio State and some of the larger programs have enjoyed over the last decade. So as a result, you might suggest that you've seen some desperation out there in the NIL space in trying to recruit athletes. At Ohio State, the good news is we are not just NIL. We're one of the top academic institutions in the country. We have some of the best facilities in the country. We have some of the best coaches and development people in the country. NIL is just an equal spoke now in terms of what we need to do and how we need to perform at a very, very high level. But Ohio State's always going to do this in a very compliant way. We're going to do this always in a high profile way. We know people are watching. A lot of people are rooting for us. There's some people who actually root against us. But I'm excited with the alumni base, with the history of support that people have brought to the athletic program. I think we're in a really good place to build, a world-class NIL culture, improve charities, support charities. We support charities. We afford people who couldn't afford an Ohio State athlete. That should be measurable. The impact that we'll be able to bring to these charities, we're very interested in bringing some science as to how we're going to measure the impact that these athletes that we're going to plug in will make on their behalf. So it's It's a win-win-win. Charities win, the athletes win, Columbus, Ohio, and Central Ohio wins.
Yeah, I think it is a fantastic deal. Well, I know that you have a hard stop for me, so do you have
No,
any
I'm gonna,
closing?
if you want a few more minutes, I'm good. So
Well, I'm just,
continue on.
I could go for hours and hours and hours, but it's just, it's the most fascinating thing. It changes every day. It's hard to separate what's real from what's fake. You hear numbers like, Texas A&M paid 30 million for their class. Like, is that real? Is that fake? Recruits are being offered 3 to 4 million. Is that real or is that fake? So it's intriguing, and I think
Yeah,
that having, go ahead, go ahead.
it's a big deal. The people who are getting behind the effort, I think, if you go to cohesionfoundation.com, cohesionfoundation.com, we're in the process of building out our website, but it certainly talks about our leadership, the
Hmm.
quality of the people on our board. Um, People should be very excited. There's some very credible people who are working strictly on a volunteer basis to bring excellence to this in this area for Ohio State athletes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's no one rooting it harder for you than the people that are depending on you guys keeping us competitive. I mean, because it's if you're recruiting now, and I mean, it used to be, come to Ohio State. We've got great facilities and stuff, but now a lot of people want to know what else do you guys got in terms of NIL. I mean, it's a different world. I'm excited that you are leading the charge. We've got a couple of collectives that are emerging, and it's going to be really interesting to see how you guys keep growing. I'm excited to hear what you guys do in terms of fundraising events. I think that we've got people that are really interested in attending those and giving to those and buying tickets to those and tables or whatever you end up doing. So it's going to be
Yeah.
exciting. I'm excited about
At,
the growth. Go ahead.
yeah. At the end of the day, Kirk, there's 1,000 Ohio State athletes.
Hmm.
We know the football engine, pulls the other 35 sports teams. So as football goes, the health of football financially profile championships, all the other absolutely correlated that's to the benefit of the 35 other sports. But
Yeah.
we've got to get football right. We've got to get basketball right. We've got to get everything right. Our aspiration of myself and our board is to scale this to a point where it would be a really cool thing if we can offer an NIL to 1,000 athletes. That's really a goal of ours
Yeah.
to scale this to a point that over the next 2 or 3 years we can plug 1,000 athletes into a multitude of different local charities.
Yeah, I think, given the profile of some of our sports, like people don't even realize how good some of our smaller Title IX sports are, like women's ice hockey has won the national title, synchronized swimming is a juggernaut, pistol and yeah, it's like some of these sports that people don't really pay attention to are absolute juggernauts, but everyone is judged Ohio State wise by our football program, and that's why I think that.
Kirk, I was an underdog. I was a walk-on player. An extra in the movie, in the background. Never one of the leading cast. So I'm all about the underdog. And
Yeah.
if we could do things for the underdog, I'm all about it. My board is very excited about the potential outreach and impact that we could have here in the entire community. So
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
athletes certainly would scale if other collectives, the foundation is in existence, is if other collectives emerge, there's a lot of athletes to serve at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I root for everybody to win. I mean, it's different, because I know you guys are going to be going after some of the same donors, but I want everybody to be successful, because at the end of the day, it gives Ohio State more ammunition to compete with Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, USC, the
100%.
schools, yeah, the major schools that can raise money in a hurry. Like, we got to remain competitive, and you have to give Ryan Day and these coaches ammunition to compete in the new era, which is a new era that again, most people are still discovering. It's like we just hit a new continent, and we don't really know what's out there yet, and things change really quick. So that's kind of
We have we
the
have,
brave.
we have to we have to create a buzz. We have to create a platform that when there's an athlete anywhere around the country, hopefully they're going to do some research and find out about Cohesion Foundation and the fact that we're doing some great things in the NIL space. I think that's going to be the way that we're going to be able to do this in a compliant, highly visible way.
Yeah, and with the charitable aspect, it's unbelievable because from a corporate side, we've got some major corporations throughout the city of Columbus that are very invested in Ohio State, and when Ohio State football especially does well, the entire city seems to be in a better mood and more uplifted. So I'm sure it's in their best interest to make sure that Ohio State is successful because when Ohio State does great, people pound their chest about how great Columbus is and how great the state of Ohio is, and it's really one of the only programs in the entire country that carries the entire state. Because when Ohio State's good, everybody wears their Ohio State gear everywhere they go. It's not like that in California or Texas or Florida or
No.
even Alabama. They've got Auburn too. So it's Ohio State's kind of it in this state. So it's exciting
Ohio
that you
State,
guys.
yeah, Ohio State and Columbus and Ohio. It's a national draw, without question. And this is a huge responsibility that we're very excited about making tremendous impact in a very positive way. So have a lot of fun doing it. So
Well, I love it. Well, we're behind you, man. I appreciate your time. You got to keep us updated on BuckeyeScoop.com. We are going to be, we can grab coffee again, just shoot the
yeah,
bull, talk strategy, talk about when you guys have these events because we have people that'll show up in
yeah,
droves and support it. So, again, Gary Marcinick, I appreciate you so much. The Cohesion Foundation. Give me the website one more time. And if you guys have any
yeah.
social handles on Twitter or Instagram, throw those out there too so people can follow them.
Yeah, cohesionfoundation.com. Cohesion, I've got to look at their Twitter handle, will melt down that I don't have that committed to memory, but we're on Twitter, Instagram, cohesionfoundation.com. We appreciate your interest and we appreciate your subscribers and your followers' interest. And certainly on our landing page, if you go to our landing page and would like to be contacted for a individual conversation, we would be flattered to do so. Again, cohesionfoundation.com.
I appreciate you, my friend. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. An outstanding interview with Mr. Gary Marcinick from the Cohesion Foundation, a guy who's really leading the charge in the NIL space for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, there's a firewall between the two, but we're depending on these guys being successful, along with Brian Schottenstein and the foundation. So it's going to be interesting to see how these shake out. So again, we've got two collectives. We've done interviews with both. So appreciate these guys giving us the time. Buckeye Scoop fam, go check them both out and make sure give us a like on this one. Leave me some comments if you guys have any further questions from this video. Leave some comments in YouTube. Obviously, I work very closely with Gary, very closely with Brian. Because we're here to help. Again, we want Ohio State to be competitive. It's in everyone's best interest for Ohio State to dominate. So these guys are really helping lead the charge in this brave new world of NIL. Appreciate you, Scoop family. Get on BuckeyeScoop.com. About to head to the boards right now. Have a great one. See you, fam.